Today we are going to proceed with the rivers and lakes of South America, having finished with the physical divisions, the four main physiographic divisions. So children, please turn to page number 115 of your textbooks. We know that the most important river of South America is the river Amazon. But if we start to trace the rivers from north of South America, the first river that we come across is the Orinoco River. If you remember, when we were doing map pointing, we pointed out the Orinoco in Venezuela. As you can see, I've given you the map over here. This is the river Orinoco, and it is draining into the Caribbean Sea region, and it is present in the country of Venezuela. If you again try to recall that the llanos, the beautiful green llanos, was the part of the surroundings of the river Orinoco. Here you can see how beautifully green everything is beside the river Orinoco. So this is a river which is 2,400 kilometers long, and it rises, as you can see, in the Guyana Highlands. It rises in the Guyana Highlands and then flows from the Guyana Highlands towards the Atlantic Ocean in Venezuela. The most important and the most majestic of the Orinoco River is the Angel Falls. It's an amazing, beautiful waterfall. It's in fact the world's highest waterfall, and it is formed by a tributary of Orinoco. The sheer fall is 979 meters. So basically what happens is that when a tributary, I hope you remember the difference between a tributary and a distributary. A tributary is a river that joins the main river, and a distributary is a river that comes out of the main river. So here a tributary of the Orinoco River, which has finally joined the Orinoco, has come across a highland like this, where it cannot flow along a slope. So it has come and made a sheer fall. So this is the Angel Falls, the world's highest waterfall. The location of the Angel Falls is again given over here in Venezuela. Next we come to a river known as the Magdalena River, which runs in Colombia, and it runs parallel to the Andes mountain. Again, look at the location over here. We know that the Andes mountain run all along the west coast, isn't it? And it has already been termed as the backbone of Andes. So here the Magdalena, if this is Colombia, the Andes must be running like this, and the Magdalena River is also running parallel to the Andes, and it drains northward into the Caribbean Sea. Now we come to the most important and the most dominating river of South America, which is the Amazon River. It is 6,400 kilometers long, and as you can see here again, if this is South America, the Andes would be lying in this region. The Amazon River rises in the Andes from the Peruvian Andes, and then it flows towards the east. We know that this is the widest part of the continent of South America. So rising from the Peruvian Andes, it flows towards the east and finally drains into the Atlantic Ocean. As you can see in the map, there are so many tributaries that join the entire Amazon River throughout. And basically, This is the yellow part is the area, the drainage basin. So which means that the entire area drained by the Andes and its tributaries is actually occupying a large chunk of the continent of South America. And since this is also located in an equatorial region, therefore the presence of the fertile soil of the Amazon along with the equatorial shower, it gives rise to the lush green equatorial vegetation. If you remember, the name of the vegetation was selvas. The name of the area dominated by these lush green vegetation was selvas, and it was an equatorial rainforest. Now, the river Amazon is navigable, which means that ships and boats can pass from the Atlantic Ocean from here up to a particular area, up to here. There's a port called Manaus. If you Google and you get the same map, or you can just type in the Google search engine map of river Amazon, you will find that Manaus is located over here, and in each and every map you will find the location of this port, because this is the port farthest into the land. Have you ever seen a port so much in the interior? Generally ports are located in the coastal region, but this is one port that is located so deep inland, and in each map you will find it marked with a red dot. So since the Amazon is so wide that small ships or medium-sized ships can also enter from here, the Atlantic Ocean, and travel up to here. So that is the last port where liners can access the Amazon, after which it becomes too narrow and too silty for the liners to proceed any further. The next river too is no stranger to you people. It is the La Plata River system, and as you can see here, it is formed by the Parana River, the Paraguay River, the Uruguay. So again, as I had told you last time also, please keep the map that you had made, that you people had pointed beside you while you are studying, so that it will help you remember. The more you look at the map, the image of the map gets embedded in your mind. So it will be easier for you to remember the small facts. For example, like the La Plata River system is formed by the rivers Paraguay, Parana and Uruguay. And as you can see that they are all flowing southwards. They are flowing southwards and they drain into, here it is written, the Atlantic Ocean. But we can also call it the South Atlantic Ocean, because we know that big oceans like the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, north of the equator we call them North Atlantic or North Pacific, and south of the equator we call it South Atlantic or South Pacific. So you can also say that the La Plata River system has its drainage, it drains out into the South Atlantic Ocean, and it does not form a delta, it forms an estuary. Now the question arises, what is the difference between a delta and an estuary? The difference is when any river system which proceeds and meets its end with the sea becomes sluggish or rather slow. In some cases, for example, the Nile, the Ganga, the Mississippi, in these cases, the rivers, what happens is that they start depositing their silt. When they deposit their silt, the rivers, they branch out. We had studied delta, so they branch out and they try to find their way, forming small channels and reach the sea. This is a delta. It is generally triangular in shape, where there are small channels and in between there are large sediment deposits. On the other hand, an estuary is a place where no such delta formation or deposition of silt takes place. The entire water of the river washes away all of the silt and meets the ocean wherever it terminates. In this case, it is the Atlantic Ocean, South Atlantic Ocean. So there is no deposition of silt near the mouth, and the entire water of the river has washed away the complete amount of silt and taken it into the Atlantic. So this is an estuary where there is no silt deposition, no distributaries, no forming of triangular shaped areas where small channels of water are trying to find their way into the ocean. That is a delta. An estuary is where the waters of the river washes away the entire amount of silt and joins the ocean or sea. So this is the La Plata River system. Then we come to the beautiful Lake Titicaca. Last day also we had seen those beautiful flamingos that were finding or foraging for food. So Titicaca is again one of the lakes situated on the high plateau of Bolivia. There are two lakes, the Lake Titicaca, and there is one more lake, Lake Poopo. They are joined by the Desaguadero River. You can see this river over here. It joins one lake and the second lake. So I have put the corresponding pictures. This is Lake Titicaca over here, and then you find the river over here, and then finally again this is Lake Poopo. Now the problem with Lake Poopo is that it is becoming a vanishing lake. It is actually becoming smaller and smaller in dimension with the passage of time. The last lake that we are going to study is Lake Maracaibo, and yes, you also please take note in your textbooks that Lake Poopo is a saltwater lake and an area of inland drainage. So if we go back to the previous slide, Lake Poopo here is an inland lake. It does not have any contact with any sea or any ocean, and it's a lake of inland drainage, which means that all the rivers from any side is coming and draining into it. Right. Then we proceed to Lake Maracaibo, which is again located in Venezuela. Here you can see the location. This is Venezuela and this is the Lake Maracaibo, and there's a very small channel which is joining it to the Gulf of Venezuela. So we can more or less call it a lake surrounded on all sides by land, and it is important because it has many mineral oil deposits. And here we can see the famous company Maersk. It is having an oil mining activity carried out here in the Lake Maracaibo. So with this, we come to the end of the small portion, which is rivers and lakes. Please study whatever we have done thoroughly, because now in this chapter we only have the case study left, which we are going to take up the next day. Thank you.